What is up, YouTube? AVI back in another video. We are lucky enough to be reviewing a Dodge Challenger Hellcat today. We're going to walk you guys through full interior exterior review of this Hellcat and just kind of show you guys the things to know. But first, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. Let's get to it. You guys know we always start at the engine bay for these performance cars, so we're going to start there. The heart of the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. This 6.2 liter supercharged V8 producing, Dave, how much horsepower? 707 horsepower, which is actually crazy for the times. It was the most horsepower ever put into production American car at this time. And even now, it's still pretty insane. You know, Dodge has been going with their Demon and now Demon 170. But at the time, 2016, this was the king of the road for American cars and actually the sixth most powerful production car ever made behind like McLaren P1. Ferrari F12, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's talk about the engine a little bit. Like I said, 6.2 liter supercharged V8. It's an absolute massive engine. We do have the cold air intake, but enclosed, that says SRT, which is really cool. And another thing to note, the battery, actually, because there's no space up in this engine bay, the battery's actually in the trunk, but you do have your terminals here on this side, so if you need to jump it and all that stuff. But one thing I love is that it says supercharged Hemi on the valve covers, and also staying true to Dodge's heritage, they do have the orange colored valve covers, which is super cool. Even in the Jeep SRT8 that we have on the channel, they are orange, which is pretty cool to see. Another thing to note is how much air is just coming into this engine. So not only do you have this wide open, completely functional air ducts coming into the engine, you also have one of the headlights, the driver's side headlight, is actually air that goes right into the engine bay. So that's hollowed out, but at the passenger side is not hollowed out. If you get a Demon, both are going to be hollowed out, and you will see a Demon logo as well as a Red Eye logo if you get the Hellcat Red Eye. But yeah, that's, you know, just amazing. Base MSRP $65,000 for this 2016 model year, which was just insane for that amount of power, for that amount of money. But yeah, let's go ahead now and show you guys some exterior features.
All right, so now that Tim's covered the engine bay, I'm going to cover the exterior features. But first, we have some merch we'd like you guys to pick up. Here's our AVI shirt. You guys can pick up. Our cheapest shirt's around $25, and we have stickers, magnets, and more. So go check that out. Link in the description. And now onto the hood. So here we have some heat extractors, 2 on the sides, and you have your hood scoop forcing air into that engine bay. And like Tim said, there's more air induction through the headlight there, and obviously through the grills and everything like that. A nice SRT badge right there, finished in chrome, and a nice front lip splitter where you can probably eat something off of or use it as a cup holder, whatever you'd like. And obviously the windshield, you gotta throw some tint on there. This is not a stock feature, but it looks much cleaner with some tint in there. But moving along the side here, it is not a wide body. It's a regular, what do they call it? Thin body. But you do have some meaty tires though, all around. 275 tires on the width, 20-inch diameter wheels with 40 series sidewall. And sorry, it looks a little muddy, but it's just coming out of the garage for the winter. You do have your nice slotted brake rotors there with your 6-piston Brembo calipers. Nice finished off in red there. Looks really nice and aggressive. And obviously your Hellcat badge right there. Nice Hellcat logo. Along with, like, you know, your mud flaps. One for the front and one for the rear. And as you can pan out from the car, you see this optional carbon fiber decal that stretches from the hood all the way to the back. And I think it's a nice little touch. Not too showy, not too flashy, things like that. Body color is a nice white, and it does match with the side mirrors. And I believe this does have some blind spot detection there. You can see there's a little triangle there. So you do have some nice safety features when you're riding along in your Hellcat. But I'm sure the blind spot's not as bad as the Camaro. So yeah, you do have this like old retro style door handle with some lock feature there. You press it once and it locks, and then you could open it up. Nice frameless doors, nice long doors, frameless, and the mirror or the window does come down a bit just so it has some clearance to open up that door, and it comes up right back up when it's shut. 275s again. The fuel door looks really nice and retro. That's how it looks. Obviously, you're going the premium route when you're putting in your gas. There is no lock feature there, but it's a nice cover. And as we're moving along the side here, you got your nice trunk lid spoiler with the backup camera and SRT badge logo. Looks really nice and not too showy. I mean, if anybody knew what this meant, you would know it's a performance car. It's not like your regular base SXT, GT, RT, things like that. So this is the top dog, the Hellcat, with that 707 horsepower, things like that. Nice tasteful diffuser with your dual exhaust tips that Tim already showed you, and they're a little like boxy look, so it kind of depends on who you ask. They might like it. It's a nice little retro touch. And like Tim mentioned before, I think the Challenger kind of stuck around with this feature, this look for a long time now. So, but yeah, I think that's it for the exterior. Let's head on into the interior.
All right, guys, now we're coming on to the interior. The first thing you'll notice is you're met with a nice Challenger script on the door sill. It actually looks pretty nice, like kind of like an aluminum kind of look. So I think it looks pretty high end, honestly. Now you will come to the seats. These are actually really comfortable. I feel like I'm in like a recliner that I'll just fall asleep in while watching a movie. But not only that, it also has SRT embroidered in the seats. I know the newer Hellcats have SRT with the Hellcat logo, but honestly, I prefer just the SRT. If you guys don't know, SRT stands for Street and Racing Technology, and it's been a huge thing for Dodge and non-Dodge products, I guess Chrysler products, over the course of the last 10 or so years. Coming on now, yeah, like I already mentioned, the bolsters on the seats is really nice. You're also met with your SRT badge on the vent. If you get a Demon, it says Demon. Now the Demon 170 just like Demon 170. So it's really cool, just those slight little changes just to show you what kind of car you're in. So if Dave wants to come on inside now, we'll start with the 8-speed TorqueFlite automatic gearbox here. And another thing is the screen is completely driver focused, which is pretty cool. And you do still have your buttons for climate control, so nothing is, in the screen, which when you're driving, you gotta go to controls, but you can also do that. Another thing is amazing. You're in your 707 horsepower Challenger Hellcat. You also got heated seats, cooled seats, mirror dimming options. So it's just the amount of luxuries that you have in a Dodge, first of all, but also a 707 horsepower Dodge is just amazing. And it shows how really far cars have come in the recent years. One of the best buttons down here is your launch button, which is going to, let you launch the car and do what the car is meant to do. So that'll light up yellow or orange underneath when that mode is activated. Red start and stop button, just to show you're in a performance car, you're not in a Dodge Caravan here. Another thing that Dave actually did point out is the window controls is actually the same from the Chrysler Town and Country that his family has. So it's just something cool. You do have some aluminum door handles, which is a little bit confusing because in order to open it, you kind of have to turn your hand upside down to kind of turn it because your fingers don't really fit in that thing. It's just a little strange. But also you do have Harman and Kardon stereo speaker, which is top of the notch stereo for this Hellcat. I do want to mention the keys. This is something that not a lot of people know. When you buy a Hellcat, you actually get 2 sets of keys. You have the black key, which just says Dodge. And what is this black key different than the red key? The black key only gives you 500 horsepower. Only, I say, because that's more than the brand new Mustang GT, the same as the new Mustang Dark Horse, and we're in 2023. So 500 horsepower in 2016 was insane, and that's the valet key. This is what you give the valet when you give it to them. But if you want all 707 horsepower, you will need to have the red key activated. This key says SRT as opposed to, as I mentioned, Dodge. So you really know you're in the Hellcat using all 707 horsepower that you get. This is something really cool. I know the Ford Mustang Laguna Seca Boss has both sets of red and a black key, but it's really a cool touch for those performance cars. I'll now show you guys the gauges. The gauges are not actually too showy, actually, you do only have one little SRT badge down there that says SRT. Everything else is just red, but no other mentions of SRT in the gauge cluster. When you start up the car, you are greeted with an SRT logo there in your infotainment system, as well as a Hellcat logo in the gauge cluster. So another cool thing is the steering wheel. You do have a flat bottom steering wheel with that kind of metal feeling, but as well as your padded leather between where you're typically driving. So that's pretty cool. And obviously greeted with the SRT logo there. I like how they didn't put a Hellcat logo or anything like that on the steering wheel. I like that it just says SRT. Makes it simple. And you do have aluminum paddle shifters here to shift your own gears. But yeah, now let's head on into the back seat and show you guys how much room we have.
So we're gonna head into the back seat of the Challenger Hellcat, but before we do, as we can see, the roof of the car is actually elongated. It's not, it doesn't dip down like those Mustangs or the Camaros, like the fastback look. So you can actually fit 5 people comfortably back here, and we're gonna show you that. Well, before we make that claim, we're gonna see how it is. So first, you lift that lever, it moves the seat back, and unfortunately, you do have to move this forward, and it does take a while because it's electronic. Remember when we had the good old days, you could just manually put the driver's seat up and stuff. But we're gonna head on in here. There's some Hellcat style floor seats that are lined up in nice blue trim, which gives it like a nice luxury look to it. And I do have some arm padding right here. It's lined up in this like synthetic leather. I do have a speaker here for me. Seatbelts are nice and accessible. There is a coat rack here for dry cleaners, and I put my seatbelt on. It's nice and comfortable. You do have some air vents here, some climate zone, or not climate control, but there's just some vents for you for the AC or heat. Do have some nice storage pockets on the driver and passenger seating. And yeah, like I said, I'm 5'10". I have plenty of headroom here for a helmet too, if needed. And let's see if I have some cup holders back here for my armrest, and I do. There's 2 cup holders, and on top of that, I believe these seats do fold 60-40 split, but we might test it out to see. But yeah, overall, you can fit, you can have a family and own a Challenger Hellcat nice and comfortably.
All right, guys, headed on now to the trunk. We did want to show this. I know we mentioned it in the engine bay part of the video, but there is the battery if you just uncover it from the trunk, and there's your 2 subwoofers, which is actually insane, as well as an air compressor in case you get a flat tire or anything like that, which is completely stock. But you do have the great selling point of the Challenger is you have so much room back here, and we did unfold down the back seat as Dave mentioned, so Dave didn't lie. Dave was truth. Dave told the truth about the 60-40 split, so you could fit tons of stuff. So basically, just use this as a truck, and you'll be good. And another thing we can mention while I'm looking at it right here, these taillights have been something that Dodge Challengers have been doing all the way back since almost 1970, kind of that square kind of look, rectangle. Obviously now with LEDs, not back then. But yeah, just a really cool homage to the Challenger over the years. All right, guys, that is a review of the Dodge Challenger Hellcat, and I just want to give our final thoughts. My personal opinion is it's not just a muscle car, it's the muscle car to have. Dodge has been constantly changing the game with horsepower, and they've kind of started this war of horsepower against Ford and Chevy and Dodge now, and they kind of were the start of it. 707 was unheard of for the time. Now with the Demon 170, it's just insane. And I think if you guys are looking for a relatively affordable sports car and muscle car, this one is it. This took over the GT500 in 2014, challenging it to have 40 more horsepower than that at the time. So I think if you guys are looking for something that's comfortable, not really track focused, but just straight line, absolute speed, this is the one. And I think it's definitely a buy if you guys are in the market. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe, smash the like button, check out the merch if you guys haven't, and just like that, AVI out.